Hello everyone. Today, I'm back to share another story about Diệu Hân the single mother. Hope you all enjoy the video. Cherry Blossom. After being saved from the accident by Han, Tai felt as if he had been given a second chance at life. During his days in the hospital, the image of that small gentle woman lingered in his mind. She didn't say much, just quietly helped him up, bandaged his wounds and reminded the doctor to take good care of him. When Tai asked why she helped him, Han simply smiled and said, "Everyone stumbles at some point. What matters is whether we have the courage to stand up again." That simple sentence pierced through Tai's heart like a needle. It had been so long since he'd heard words that could touch his soul. His life had always been about calculation, money, pleasure, and transactional relationships. To Tai, kindness was a luxury, and trust was something only the clever used to their advantage. But Han was different, completely different. After being discharged, Tai went to the small stall where Han worked. She was still the same neat, simple, calm, her face radiating quiet grace even after a long day of hard work. Tai brought her a small gift as thanks, but Han shook her head gently. "I helped you because you needed help. Not because I wanted anything in return. Just live well. That's enough." Her words left Tai speechless. How long had it been since he'd met someone like that? Day by day, he became more curious about Han, this single mother who seemed untouched by greed or bitterness. She lived simply, worked hard, and poured all her love into her little boy Tom. One afternoon, Tai quietly watched the two having lunch outside their small house. Han picked a small piece of fish for her son. Little Tom laughed joyfully and gave it back to his mom. The sunlight fell softly on their faces, peaceful, warm, and full of love. At that moment, Tai felt an emptiness inside. He had everything: money, cars, wine, women, but never a simple, happy meal like this. From that day on, Tai began to change. He stopped drinking, stopped hanging around bad friends. Every morning he jogged near the market, then stopped by to help Han set up her stall. When Tom's bicycle broke, Tai quietly fixed it. When the roof leaked, he climbed up to mend it. Han was surprised but smiled softly in thanks. Gradually, Tai became a familiar part of their small world. Sometimes he told Tom stories from his youth, of course leaving out the darker parts. The boy listened in fascination, while Han sat nearby, mending clothes and smiling now and then. In those quiet moments, Tai realized something he had never understood before. Happiness doesn't need much. Just being trusted and seeing someone live kindly because of you. That's enough. At night he often lay awake, thinking about his past, the betrayals, the people he'd hurt. And then he thought of Han, the woman who never blamed him, never despised him, but somehow planted in him a seed of faith. Deep inside he could feel something awakening, the better part of himself he thought had died long ago. One windless afternoon, Tai stood a long time outside Han's small home. The cicadas were crying their last songs of summer, mixing with the soft sound of her broom sweeping the porch. She was tidying up, her face glistening with sweat but still carrying that gentle smile. Seeing her like that, Tai's heart trembled, a feeling he thought he'd forgotten. He stepped closer, holding a small bouquet of flowers. His voice was rough but sincere. "Hun, I know I'm not a good man, but since the day I met you, my life has changed. I want to start over, if you'll let me." Han froze for a moment, her eyes trembling. She looked at him, the once reckless man everyone avoided. But now in his gaze she saw remorse and a yearning to live rightly. She stayed silent for a long time, then sighed softly. "Tai, thank you, but I can't." Tai lowered his head, his hands crushing the flowers in despair. Han looked at him gently but firmly. "I just hope you truly change. Live well, live honestly. Not for me but for yourself. Life still has so much worth living for. More than wasting it on old mistakes." Those words echoed in Tai's mind like a bell in the night. She didn't blame him, didn't pity him. She only wished him to become better. and that alone made him feel smaller, ashamed, yet deeply moved. He stood silently, then nodded. His voice was hoarse, trembling. "I understand. Thank you, Han. Maybe it's time I learn how to be human again." Then he turned and walked away. The small road out of the village seemed endless. His footsteps were heavy, but inside, a faint light began to glow. That night, Tai sat by the window of his old rented room. The dim yellow light fell across his scarred face. He thought of Han's words, her eyes, not cold, not pitying, but filled with hope. For the first time in his life, Tai wanted to live differently. Not for anyone else, but for himself. To be worthy of the woman who believed he could still change. After advising Tai to live a better life, Han stood quietly for a long time on the porch, watching his figure fade into the narrow alley. A faint mix of sadness and relief washed over her heart. She didn't hate Tai, nor did she blame him. She only hoped that after everything he would truly change, to find again that small spark of kindness still buried somewhere within him. That night, Han didn't fall asleep right away. She sat by the window listening to the soft drizzle outside. Her heart felt strangely calm. Perhaps when people learn to let go of the burdens they've been carrying, they finally find peace. The next morning began as usual. A rooster crowed in the distance. Pale sunlight slipped through the thin curtain, lighting up Han's gentle face. She rose early, started the fire, and prepared breakfast for the two of them. Little Tom, still sleepy, rubbed his eyes and ran to hug his mother, mumbling, "Mom, today I want fried eggs." Han laughed and pinched his nose playfully. "All right, if you behave, you'll have your fried eggs right away." Those simple, everyday moments were more precious to Han than anything else. She didn't have much money, nor did she chase after luxury, but what she had was peace. Something so many people spend their entire lives searching for and never truly find. After breakfast, Han pushed her small cart to the market. The familiar road was bathed in soft sunlight. Trees on both sides swayed gently in the wind. The other vendors greeted her with warm smiles, and she returned their greetings with her own calm one. Her heart felt light. That day business was good. Tom helped his mother pack goods, humming little tunes as he worked. Watching him, Han felt warmth spread through her chest. All the exhaustion and struggles of past years seemed to melt away. Her life was simple but real. Days she could live freely, smile genuinely without depending on anyone, without pretending to be happy. As the sun began to set, Han packed up her stall and watched the hurried stream of people passing by. Her thoughts drifted to Tai. Where was he now? Had he truly begun anew as she had wished for him? Whatever the answer, she silently prayed he would be safe, because she believed that in every person, there lies a seed of goodness. It only needs the right person, the right moment, to bloom. On the way home, Han looked up at the evening sky. The sunset had painted the whole street in shades of gold and red. A soft breeze passed by, carrying with it the scent of sunlight, the scent of the market, and perhaps the scent of hope. She smiled. Life, no matter how stormy, was still worth loving. As long as the heart still held even a small faith that tomorrow could be better than today. That morning, after tidying up her stall and taking Tom home, Han stood before the small garden behind the house, her mind full of new thoughts. She had long wanted to fix it up. Once it had been just a few old vegetable rows and small flower pots. This time she planned to expand it to grow more fresh vegetables, enough for them to eat and maybe sell a little at the market. Looking at the uneven patch of soil, overgrown with weeds, she suddenly felt an unusual excitement rise within her. It's time to start again, she thought to herself. Start over. Just like my life. From the smallest things. Without hesitation, Han rolled up her sleeves and began working. Each strike of the hoe broke the soil loose. The earthy scent rose into the air, filling her heart with quiet joy. The wind blew gently, making her shirt flutter. Strands of hair stuck to her forehead, but she didn't mind. Sweat beaded on her face, her calloused hands reddened. Yet a smile never left her lips. After a while, Tom grew sleepy. He rubbed his eyes and whispered, "Mom, I'm sleepy." Han wiped her hands, carried him inside, laid him down gently, tucked the blanket around him and stroked his hair. Then, in a soft voice, she began to hum the lullaby her own mother used to sing. Ah oi, the wind sways the bamboo branches. Mother's lullaby flows with love. Her voice was as light as the breeze, blending with Tom's steady breathing. Watching her son sleep peacefully, Han smiled, her heart softened. Perhaps this was true happiness, when a mother sees her child resting safely in a world full of storms. When he was fast asleep, Han returned to the garden. The late afternoon sunlight spread across the rows of soil, golden like honey. She continued her work, gathering weeds, shaping the earth, arranging the pots. Each movement was careful, deliberate, as if she were planting seeds of hope for their future. Sweat rolled down her cheeks, her palms raw from the handle of the hoe, but her heart was light. She could already picture a green garden full of vegetables, the scent of earth and sunlight, and Tom running around helping her harvest. A simple image, yet more beautiful than any dream. She worked until dusk settled in. Standing upright, she inhaled the fresh scent of newly turned soil and smiled at the half-finished garden. Quietly, she whispered to herself, "Tomorrow will be better than today, as long as I don't give up." Then she went inside and lit a small lamp. Outside, the garden lay still under the evening glow, silent, yet full of life. Just like Han's heart. After so many storms, still resilient, still full of faith in tomorrow. As the afternoon waned, the last rays of sunlight bathed the freshly cleaned garden in a warm golden glow. The rows of soil stood neatly formed, and the small yard looked open and tidy. Han sat on the porch steps, gazing at the little garden she had just created, and felt a quiet joy rise within her. A simple happiness, yet one filled with deep meaning. Two little dogs, one white, one golden, trotted playfully around her feet, barking now and then in cheerful bursts. Han laughed, reaching down to stroke their soft fur. "Hey now, stop messing around. I haven't even given you two a bath yet." The dogs wagged their tails as if they understood, then bounded off around the new garden, scattering bits of soil everywhere. Han pretended to scold them, her voice stern but her heart warm. She had never imagined she would one day have moments like this. After so many years of working endlessly, burdened only by worries about meals, bills, and her son's future. A moment later, she filled a basin with water and carried it out to the yard. The sound of running water, the birds chirping, and Tom's cheerful laughter from inside the house all blended together into a melody of life. Han gently bathed the two dogs, every movement filled with tenderness, as if she were caring for her own children. She dried their fur with an old towel and laid them down to bask in the sunlight by the porch. The dogs rested quietly, occasionally licking her hands, their eyes glimmering with gratitude. Han sat beside them, patting their heads with a smile. "This garden will be our home, mine, my son's, and yours too." Her words lingered softly in the still afternoon air, warm and full of peace. Han lifted her gaze toward the sky, where the setting sun cast a gentle orange hue across the garden. She inhaled deeply, taking in the scent of fresh soil, of grass, and of life returning anew. When night fell, Han lit a small lamp in the kitchen and set the dinner table for her and Tom. Outside, the two dogs curled up under the porch roof, occasionally stirring and barking softly in their sleep. The peace was so complete that she could hear the wind brushing through the trees. That was how Han's day passed, quiet, uneventful, but filled with work, affection, and serenity. For her, that was enough. Because after all the storms she'd endured, Han had come to understand that happiness doesn't lie in grand things, but in these very small moments. When the heart is at peace, and a simple life becomes infinitely precious. Time went by quietly. For months, Han's days continued in that same gentle rhythm, waking early to get Tom ready for school, heading to the market, then tending to her garden in the afternoon. The once barren patch was now lush and green. Mustard greens, spinach, scallions, and herbs grew in neat rows. Small flower pots bloomed brightly, filling the little house with life and color. That evening, as Han watered the plants, she suddenly heard the sound of a motorbike stopping at the gate. She turned and froze. It was Tai. He stood there, still tall and lean, but his face was different now. Gone was the arrogance, gone the restless glint in his eyes. What remained was calmness, maturity. He wore a simple shirt, carrying a small gift bag in one hand. When their eyes met, Tai smiled, a gentle smile, one that Han had never seen from him before. Hun, it's been a while, hasn't it? His voice was softer now, no longer rough and defiant, but warm and steady. Han hesitated for a moment. Yes, it's been a long time. You look different. Tai scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. Different because of you, actually. What you told me that day. I never forgot it. I thought about it a lot, and realized how awful I'd been. Now I'm working as a warehouse assistant for a small company nearby. The pay isn't great, but it's honest. I quit all my bad habits. I just want to live properly now. Han looked at him, and a strange emotion welled up. Part joy, part tenderness. Standing before her wasn't the reckless man she once had to lecture with stern eyes, but someone changed, calm, sincere, and gentler somehow. She smiled softly. It's good that you've changed. Anyone can start over if they truly want to. What matters is not giving up. Tai nodded, his eyes drifting toward the vibrant garden behind her house. You're amazing, you know. Every time I come by, you're working. The garden looks beautiful. It feels peaceful just looking at it. Han laughed, her voice light as the breeze. I just live the way I want to. Where there's greenery, there's hope. They stood there together in the golden afternoon light. Sunbeams filtered through the leaves, casting soft patterns on their faces. The woman who had endured pain yet remained strong, and the man who had once lost his way but finally found himself again. Their meeting held no grand words, no tears, only quiet emotion. Because sometimes just seeing that someone has changed for the better, living more kindly, is enough to make every bit of compassion and forgiveness once given feel worthwhile. That evening, as Tai walked away, Han stood on the porch, watching until his figure disappeared down the village road. Her heart felt light, calm like the evening breeze passing gently through the garden. A chapter had closed, and somewhere deep inside she believed a new beginning had truly arrived, for Tai and for herself.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video ngày hôm nay của mình. Thì câu chuyện của Diệu Hân, sau những biến cố khó khăn thì hôm nay Hân cũng đã trải qua những ngày bình yên ngắn ngủi, và Hân cảm thấy rất nhẹ lòng vì cuộc sống bình yên này. Liệu rằng Hân sẽ cảm hóa Ti như thế nào và Ti sẽ thay đổi ra sao? Ti liệu rằng có dành tình cảm cho Hân hay không? Thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo nha. Hy vọng rằng những video tiếp theo sẽ giúp cho mọi người có nhiều niềm vui hơn mỗi khi xem. Và đặc biệt là mình rất mong mọi người ủng hộ kênh của mình để kênh của mình ngày càng phát triển, để mình có động lực để làm video cho mọi người xem. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha.